around is supposed to be the difference between good and evil. And hopefully good will triumph in the end. And you as an audience are part of the play. And here comes Anna, yes. And we're going to ask you to help out like when the hero comes in. I will hold up one of those you're supposed to go. Yay! Okay, that wasn't too bad. Wasn't too good either. If the villain comes in, then you have a choice to say what I got. Yeah, that's terrible. That is really bad. We gotta try that one more time. All right. Miss Report walks in. You do. Steve, I've heard you do worst outliners. And I've done worse to you when you were officiating basketball games. Boo! All right. Try Yay one more time. If there's a touching moment, you might want to go, Okay. You'll get the idea in a second here. This will all work out, I promise. Maybe. Now I gotta figure out how to get backstage. We'll start in 37 seconds.
You can't blame me for, ma'am. I want to know what we are having for dinner. Oh, that we're having dreaded veal cutlet. How can you be so stupid? You mean we are having dreaded veal cutlet? No, once I got a whiff of them cutlets, I dreaded having to eat them. You are so impossible, Fowler. I don't know why I put up with you. I do. It's because I work cheap. Nothing of the sort. I'm sure I pay you all you are worth. That's the trouble. You want me to keep working here, you're going to have to pay me more than I'm worth.
Shit. Confound it, where's that stupid nurse of mine?
Augustus, why didn't you stay in bed? Your doctor wants you to get as much rest as possible.
Oh, all doctors are fools. They're in the same class as wise.
Now, Augustus, don't let your temper get the best of you. Goodness knows I wouldn't want you to have another heart attack.
It's my heart, isn't it? If I want to have another attack, I'll have one. Where is that stupid son of yours, Ursula?
Excuse me, Mr. Greystone, but I saw Manlin running around with that nurse. My, but he got a case on her.
The young fool. I'll soon put a stop to them.
Try to remain calm, dear. I want you to become strong and well again as soon as possible so that we can resume our social life. I'm so tired of staying at home not having any fun.
You seem to forget that you're married to me, Ursula. You're not supposed to have any fun.
That will do, Fowler. You may go.
Have you thought of what it will mean if your stupid son Manly insists on making a fool of himself over that dreaded nurse? I won't have it, I'll tell you.
Nothing will come of that romance, Augustus, I assure you.
That girl is a scheming little nobody. She's laid a trap for Manly because she knows he is well loaded.
How can you say such a thing? My Manly has never indulged in alcoholic beverages of any kind.
I mean the young jackass was loaded with money, left to him by his father.
Manly's father. Now there was a man. What a pity his standard was so short.
What did your husband die of, Ursula?
He died of a heart attack.
What?
The doctor never knew what brought the attack on.
Oh, it came from being married to you, no doubt. There's only one way to cure your stupid son's infatuation for constant hope, the nurse. She must be sent away at once.
That is the worst thing we can do under the circumstances. I won't hear of it.
Well, then what do you propose to do?
The nurse must stay on here where I can keep an eye on her. Sooner or later, I'll be able to manufacture enough evidence to make the scales fall from Manly's eyes. By the time I am done with this constant hope, my son will be so disgusted with her, he will never want to lay
I see what you mean. You think you'll be able to manufacture enough evidence so we can get rid of that nurse's presence here?
During my rise to prominence in the social world, I have learned how to triumph over my enemies. If anybody dares to cross me, I know how to wipe him out as I would a fly.
I don't like the way that sounds. For all I know, you may be planning on rubbing me out.
You have nothing to worry about on that score, my pet. I wouldn't want to go to the trouble of having to bury you. Trying to find another husband at this time of the social scene would be a pain in the report. Excuse me, Mr. Greystone.
Well, what is it now, Fowler?
There's a gentleman waiting without.
Without what?
Without an appointment. He says he has to see you without delay.
Very well, show him in.
Step this way, sir.
Bertram Oleander, what is the meaning of this?
My spies told me you were enjoying bad health. And since I have reasons of my own for being interested in you, I decided to stop by and see just how serious your illness is.
I always knew that you had more nerve than the devil himself, but I didn't think you'd dare to come near.
It's time for a showdown between us, Greystone. I would have a word with you in private.
I have nothing to say to you, Bertram Oleander. I advise you to leave here at once while you are still in one piece.
You can't expect me to take your threats seriously, old man. But enough of this. My time is valuable. People are always making demands on me, asking me for advice. Barely such popularity must be deserved.
Fowler, why are you running around here? Get back to work, do you hear?
Yes, Mr. Greystone.
That's better. Much better. I hope you don't mind if I sit down, Greystone, old boy.
I'd be overjoyed if you fell flat on your face, you unmitigated scoundrel. I insist that you tell me why you have the temerity to show your evil face in my house.
You wrong me, sir. Really, you do. You should know by now that I'm completely unselfish and have only your interests at heart.
You mealy-mouthed hypocrite, what fresh deviltry are you planning now?
I'm sure you haven't forgotten that you're supposed to attend my trial a week from today, since you are the main witness.
I'll say I haven't forgotten that. It will be a source of great satisfaction to me when I appear before Judge Savage and testify, as only I can, that you are guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Isn't it a fact that your doctor has forbidden you from leaving the house without first gaining his consent?
I'd make my presence felt as a witness against you if it meant to end my existence on this earth.
If you succeed pursuing such a course of action, you might not live to get to the courthouse, you old wreck.
Now you're showing yourself in true colors. It's what I expected all along from a scoundrel like you, a knave who has robbed innocent men and women of the savings of a lifetime in order to feather his own nest.
Gadzooks, I mustn't lose my temper in the presence of the old goat. I apologize for losing my temper, Greystone, and I beseech you to forgive me. I really came here to do you a service, sir.
What? You expect me to believe that?
It would make things a lot simpler for you if you did. You should know by now that I will never be convicted of the crime of which I'm accused. I've been brought to court before, but I've always managed to gain an acquittal.
That is correct. In spite of all your thievery, you always manage to elude the law and maintain your freedom. This time it shall be different. I promise you that.
I can't understand why you should be so anxious to have me convicted, sir. After all, I have done nothing to harm you in any way.
You have hoodwinked a great many poor people who have become the innocent victims of your greed and cupidity.
I merely sold some worthless stock to a lot of gullible fools. If I hadn't taken their money, someone else would have.
Tell that to Judge Savage when you appear before him, you scoundrel.
I'm sure it won't come to that. After all, you are the one person responsible for this trial. You are the one who has brought the charges against me. No one else even suspects that the stocks I sold them aren't worth everything I claim them to be.
I have positive proof on which to convict you. You have sold thousands of dollars of worthless stocks. Stocks that aren't even worth the paper they're printed on.
Oh, come now, Greystone. Who are you to be so high and mighty with me? I dare say you have resorted to several questionable business deals in your time that wouldn't bear too close an inspection.
Get out of my house this instant, or do I have to have you thrown out?
Take it easy, old man. Remember your heart. I'll go, but first I wish to make you a very fine offer.
You're just wasting your breath.
Don't worry about that. I've plenty more where that came from. What would you say if I offered you $250,000 to drop the charges against me?
Drop the charges? I couldn't even do that if I wanted to. What reason could I give the law to do a complete about-face at this late date?
It'd be quite simple for you, I assure you. All you'd have to do is declare to Judge Savage that you have found yourself wanting for evidence and that you cannot bring me to trial.
Oh, that's all I have to do, is it?
Naturally, since Judge Savage is a close personal friend of yours, he would never suspect to doubt your word. You would have to give me a clean bill of health, and you would be richer by $250,000.
What? You expect me to do this for a paltry $250,000?
How much do you want? Name your price, and I'll meet it.
If you had all the money in the world, you couldn't buy me out. I am more determined than ever to see that justice is done here, and you receive the maximum penalty for the outrageous crime you have committed.
Now look here, Greystone,
Not another word. I shall get in touch with Judge Savage today and acquaint him with the fact that you tried to bribe me. Before I'm through with you, Bertram Oleander, you'll wish you were dead.
Very well, if that's the way you wish to play this game out, we'll see who's the winner. But I must warn you, I still have a few cards up my sleeve and intend to play them for all I'm worth.
Get out of my house this instant!
I'll go, of course. I never stay any place I'm not wanted. Poor old Greystone. I'm afraid your heart's condition is worse than you think. And you'll be a goner long before you're able to make that call to Judge Savage because your sick ticker will cease to tick.
The fiend? What did he mean by that last crap? I wonder.
Mr. Greystone, are you all right? Father just told me you've been looking for me.
Where have you been, Miss Hope? I'm not paying you to gallivant around where you're supposed to be on duty here.
I'm sorry if I've disturbed you, sir. One of their prescriptions ran out, so I hurried to the drugstore to have it renewed. It took some time to have the prescription filled, so I hurried back here and came in through the rear entrance.
I'm tired of taking medicines that aren't doing any good for me. I feel weaker today than when I had the last attack.
But your doctor seems greatly pleased with your progress. I'm sure that within a very short time, you'll be entirely well again.
I'm going to my study and rest, and I don't want to be disturbed.
How fortunate I am to have found such a haven. How good it is to have a sanctuary where I'm safe and secure. Nobody here even guesses that I was once a downtrodden girl who never expected to escape the doom that was closing in on me. Every day I pray that nobody here will ever discover that I'm a girl with a past. A past I pray will never come back to haunt me.
So you're back to last. It seems to me you've been away forever.
Don't be silly. I was only gone for 15 minutes or so. Oh, how his voice thrills me. One glance at his manly bosom, and I can feel my heart racing with joy. Oh, cease my fluttering heart.
Earlier today, you told me that I reminded you of somebody else. Have you thought of who it is?
It's Lord Lochinvar.
Lochinvar?
Yes, don't you remember him? He rode a horse.
Oh, I always thought that was Lady Godiva.
I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to excuse me. I have some medicine to prepare for your stepfather.
It seems to me that you spend far too much time waiting on Mr. Greystone.
But that's why I'm here. You mustn't forget that I'm paid to look after Mr. Greystone and take care of his wants.
But I have something important to say to you. Can't you sit down?
I know that he's going to propose to me. Dear Lord, give me sufficient strength to say him nay. Help me to unburden my soul and reveal my frightful past to him.
Please sit down.
Very well, but please be as brief as possible.
How beautiful you are, Constant. In all my life, it has never been my good fortune to gaze upon loveliness of the type that you possess so abundantly.
I should be accustomed to your compliments by now, but I'm afraid I'm not. Please tell me what's on your mind.
Well, first of all, I must tell you that my factory is a great success. I've made an independent fortune of my own through the sale of my soap.
So?
You sound as though you don't like soap.
No, that isn't so. As a matter of fact, I was raised on soap.
Oh. Well, anyway, Constant, I cannot get you out of my thoughts. Will you make me the happiest man in the world and promise me that you will marry me?
Oh, Mr. Rash, this is so sudden.
Won't you please call me Manly?
Oh, if Manly weren't so manly, it would make it so much easier to reveal my sordid past to him. For your sake, I shall do as you wish.
You mean you'll marry me?
No, I mean I shall call you Manly, Manly.
So far, so good. Wouldn't you like to be Mrs. Constant Rash?
What girl would be thrilled at the thought of marrying you, Manly? But it could never be for me. I could never marry any man.
But why?
You must listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. 8 years ago, I was in a dreadful accident. The train I was riding on collided with another train. I was thrown from the wreckage, landed on my caboose, and found in an unconscious condition in the bottom of a ravine.
Oh, my poor Constance. How you must have suffered.
For a long time, I wasn't expected to live. But gradually, nature asserted herself, and after a series of operations, I began to make progress.
But I fail to see why any of this should keep you from marrying me.
I'm coming to that. After many months, I regained my lost health, and I began to feel like my old self physically.
But your name is Constant Hope, isn't it?
One of the surgeons in the hospital gave me that name because I didn't know what I was called before the accident. I decided to stay on at the hospital and go into training. I graduated with high honors and have been nursing ever since.
I don't understand. Why should any of this keep us apart?
After you've had time to think all of this through, you'll come to realize that until I'm able to shed some light on my past, I must remain as I am. What if some man appeared on the scene after we were married that could prove that I was once married to him before I lost my memory?
Now, Constant, I won't allow a little thing like that to stand in the way of our marriage.
A little thing? Do you realize what you're saying?
Now, Constant, we shall be married and discuss all of our future plans together. And I shall devote all of my time and efforts in discovering your true identity.
I forbid you to do anything of the sort.
But why? Don't you want to know who you really are?
I'm afraid that you may discover that I'm not fit to become your wife. What if there was some dreadful scandal in my past that would prevent me from ever getting married?
That's nonsense. You couldn't be anything but noble and good. I shall think all this over very carefully, and then we'll discuss our future together. Don't worry, Constant. Leave everything up to me.
Would that I were free to marry Manly and lead a happy, normal existence, but I can never run the risk of dragging the proud name of Resh through the mud. Oh, woe is me. Oh, lack-a-day. Oh, who are you and what are you doing here?
What? You don't recognize me, my dear? I never thought the day would come when you would forget your own Bertram.
What are you saying? I've never seen you before. Or have I?
Gadzooks, if I can succeed in pulling the wool over this dame's eyes, the world will be mine. Now for some dirty work. You'll never know how I've longed for the day when I should find you again, my own dear little wife.
I'm your wife?
Why did you leave me in such a heartless fashion after I lavished years of love and affection on you? How could you find it in your heart to desert me and our poor little babe?
I'm a mother?
Because you left us, I've had to play the part of both mother and father to our little Darwin.
I have a son named Darwin? Oh, where is he? I must see him at once.
Now for some more dirty work. I'm almost beginning to believe my own lies. I'm afraid that won't be possible, my dear. The poor fellow passed away a year ago after suffering a severe bout of pneumonia. He thought his mother would be dead.
The poor boy, what a short life.
Ah, yes, true too, true too.
I had no wish to desert you. I was in a dreadful accident, and when I recovered, my mind was a blank. I didn't even know my own name.
Gadzooks, this dame has swallowed my life hook, line, and sinker. That would account for the fact that I never found any trace of you, although I never ceased trying to find you my own wife.
Sir, please be good enough to tell me my name.
Your name? Mrs. Bertram Oleander, of course. I never dreamt that when I came to this house you would be here.
But if you didn't expect to find me, what brought you here?
Augustus Greystone is one of my oldest and closest friends. And hearing that the old man had taken ill, I decided to pay a visit and see if I could be of any service to you.
Mr. Greystone is resting now, cannot be disturbed. I'm working here as his nurse.
My wife working as a nurse? You must leave your position at once. What would my friends say if they ever heard that Bertram Oleander's wife was working for a living? An unacceptable situation from any point of view.
You must grant me some time to get used to the idea of having a husband.
Anything you say, my dear. Why, just this morning I was looking at her marriage certificate and it brought back fond memories.
You're in possession possession of our wedding certificate?
Naturally, since you left it behind when you went away. Tonight I shall forge a wedding certificate, and this beauty shall be mine until I decide to toss her aside.
What was my father's name?
Your father's name? I never knew your father. He died before we were married.
What?
I mean, your name before we were married was Maggie. Maggie McCoy.
Maggie McCoy? Are you sure of that?
Positive. You were Maggie McCoy, daughter of the real McCoy.
When may I see your wedding certificate?
This evening I shall take you to dinner, then we shall journey to my hotel, where I shall show you the wedding certificate that proves us to be lawfully wedded man and wife beyond any shadow of a doubt.
Until this evening, then. You must excuse me. I have some work to do. I shall tell Mr. Greystone that you called.
Once I have this dame in my power, I shall pull the strings and get my hands on thousands of dollars of the Greystone fortune. You're not doing badly, Bertram, old boy. Not badly at all.
Oh, Constance, I have something important to say to you.
Oh, Manly, I'm so glad that you're home. I see so little of you lately, dear boy.
Yes, Mom, I have a lot on my mind these days.
So I've noticed. I'm glad to know that you are not rushing into matrimony without first giving it some serious thought.
Why, Mama, how did you know I was contemplating matrimony?
Why, any fool could see that you are head over heels in love with Miss Howe.
You can? I mean, I didn't think it showed.
So when are you planning on proposing to your stepfather's nurse?
Earlier today, I asked Constance to marry me.
I'm sure she was thrilled at the prospect of becoming Mrs. Manly Rash.
Yeah, Constance feels the same way about me as I do about her.
So has she set a date for your wedding yet, son?
Not yet. You see, she's afraid her husband might show up after we're married.
Constant Hope has a husband?
Well, she may have a husband, and then again she may not.
What?
Can't you understand, Mama? Constance may be married, and then again she may not. You can't remember.
Manly, are you sure you're feeling all right?
Yes, Mama. I'll feel a lot better once I clear up this matter with Constance's past.
So this nurse has a past, has she? I can't say that I'm surprised.
You're not?
I thought it was odd that a woman as beautiful as Constant Hope should be working as a nurse.
Yeah, Constance sure is beautiful. She looks like $1,000,000.
Well, I hope for your sake that she'll settle for less.
After Constance agrees to marry me, I'd gladly settle every dollar I had at her feet. I mean, what good is money? All they can buy is happiness.
I think it's about time I had a serious talk with this nurse.
What good would that do, Mama? The main thing is to prove that Constance doesn't have a husband. And if she does, I have to find a way to get rid of it.
Well, I hope you will not mention any of this to your stepfather. It would only complicate the matters, and I don't want to worry him when he isn't feeling as he should. If you need me, I'll be upstairs.
Oh, Constance, I cannot get you out of my thoughts. You must be blind.
It's all right, Father. I'll give Mr. Greystone his medicine now.
Oh, Constance, I insist that you spare me a moment.
Really, Manly, you must give your stepfather his medicine.
Please come out to the garden with me. I promise not to be more than a few seconds.
Be sure that it doesn't take long. I must neglect my duties here.
Once again, fate is played into my hands. Few drops of this poison I obtained in South America, and old Greystone will never know what hit him. That does it! Greystone's fate is sealed. Now all I have to do is sit back and gobble up the Greystone millions. You're not... This has been a lucky day for Bertram Olander. A lucky day indeed.
I thought I heard voices in here. I must be losing my mind for sure. Your few minutes left, Manly. You must get back to work. Wouldn't Mr. Greystone take his medicine? Oh, I'm going to take it to him now. Manly detained me out in the garden. Oh, so it's Manly now, is it? You better not let the mistress hear you calling her son by his first name. Oh, thanks for reminding me, Father. I shall try to be discreet when Mrs. Greystone is around.
I'd like to take Constance out on a date. You can have it arranged that she has the evening off, can't you?
That is entirely up to your stepfather, Manley. She is his nurse, not mine.
Now, Mama, if you told Augustus that Constance had to have the evening off, I'm sure everything would be okay. I mean, none of your other husbands dared to cross you.
Is my husband feeling any better?
I'm afraid not. It was all I could do to get him to take his medicine.
Well, the doctor should be here sometime this afternoon. I'll be sure he speaks with him.
Mr. Greystone seems to have something on his mind. He asked me to send Mr. Rash to him at once.
Manley, you better go see what Augustus wants.
Can't imagine what he wants to see me about.
Step this way, sir.
I hope you'll pardon this intrusion, miss. I'm Bertram Oleander, and I'm here to inquire about Mr. Augustus Greystone's health.
It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Mrs. Augustus Greystone.
You're Augustus's wife? I never would have believed it. I took you for a younger sister.
It is sweet of you to say that, I'm sure. Meet Miss Holt, Mr. Oleander, Augustus's nurse.
Miss Holt, how is your patient doing?
Why, Mr. Greystone doesn't seem to be making much progress.
I'm sure that a visit from an old close friend such as I will cheer the fellow up no end.
Mama, prepare yourself for a shock.
Manley, what is it?
When I entered the study, Augustus was laying on a sofa, and he appeared to be dazed. I tried to get him up, and with a tremendous effort, he said, "I've been poisoned."
Poison? Oh, no! Manley, go, get the doctor, quick!
The doctor can't help now. Augustus Greystone is dead.
12 o'clock midnight. Tonight I shall reap the rewards of all my dirty work.
Oh, it's you.
Good
Oh,
morning, Mom.
Oh, it's you. You wish to see Mrs. Greystone?
No, I came to see you beg for a constant. My, how beautiful you are. I must admit I know how to pick 'em every time.
Please be good enough to state the nature of your business. I have no time for idle chit-chat.
I really came here to inquire to see if you had heard anything about the missing Rash fellow.
No word of any kind. Manley disappeared shortly after Mr. Greystone died, and no one has heard from him since.
I understand the police are conducting an exhaustive search for the fellow, but their efforts in that direction have been a dismal failure up to now.
That's correct. No one has seen or heard from Manley since he disappeared. It's just as though earth had opened and swallowed poor Manley up.
Young scoundrel is safe in Canada by now, no doubt.
Canada? Why would Manley go to Canada?
The reason's obvious, of course. I happen to know for a fact that the police are certain that it was Manley Rash that poisoned his stepfather and then fled to Canada before the police could apprehend him for the crime.
That's a lie. Anyone who knows Manley is well aware of the fact that he wouldn't harm anyone.
Why should you be so quick to defend his concept? Certainly you aren't in love with him, are you?
Why,
Must I remind you, you are my wife, and as such you owe all your allegiance to me.
would that I could forget it. The very thought that I was once married to you hangs over me like a pall. If it is true that I was once married to you, I want you to know that relationship will never be resumed. Never.
Those are harsh words coming from you, Constant. I've done my best to inspire confidence in you. You must trust me to do whatever it is I feel best for you.
I ask only one favor of you, that's to get out of my life and leave me alone.
In that way you will be free to join the Manley Rash and forget that you're a married woman, eh? What a fool I would be to grant such a request.
You wrong me, sir. Really, you do. I have no intention of linking myself with any man. I shall atone for the past by leading a celibate life like Miss Laporte, helping the sick and nursing them back to health.
Tell me, my dear, why you remain here? I naturally thought that after Augustus Greystone died, you would sever your connection with the Greystone family.
I was all packed and ready to leave the morning after Mr. Greystone died, but Mrs. Greystone wasn't feeling very well, so she prevailed me to stay on as her nurse.
I imagine it didn't take much coaxing on Mrs. Greystone's part in order to gain your consent to stay here. You hope that by remaining here, you will be able to establish some sort of contact with the murdering Manley Rash.
Manley's no murderer, and you know it. You should be ashamed of yourself for slandering a man who's as far above you as the stars are above the earth.
I don't care how you talk to me, girl. One word from me dropped in the proper place, and you'll be looking out from behind bars. I give you 1 hour to pack your things and take up residence as my wife.
Never. There is no law that can compel a wife to live with a man whom she dislikes and mistrusts. Your threats don't frighten me. Do your worst. I defy you. Do so by all means.
I assume you have business here?
Yes, indeed. Are you Manley Rash?
No, indeed, I'm Bertram Olander.
Oh, that's such a flowery name. If I had a name like that, I'd change it.
Why are you here?
Oh, my name is Millie Smith. I'm one of Manly Ranch's customers. I'm here on a shopping trip.
Please try to be specific. Why are you here?
I've just told you. I've come to buy a large order of soap for my drugstore back home. I went out to the factory, but it was all closed up. And the janitor there, Chuck Arney, told me that nobody knows where Mr. Rash is. He gave me this address and said that I might get some information about him.
I'm sorry that we can't help you. Manly disappeared and no one has heard or seen from him since.
Disappeared, has he? I'd say that's mighty rash of Rash to neglect his business this way.
I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to excuse me. I have some work to do.
I'll have to find some other place to buy the soap I need.
Perhaps I can be of some help, Miss Smith. Where are you staying?
At the Torrance Hotel.
I will make a point of it to drop by later. I never miss an opportunity of spending as much time as possible with a lovely lady.
Oh, you city men have such taking ways. I shall look forward to seeing you again later. Don't forget to call on me. I'll be expecting you. Who was that woman, Bertram?
Another one of your son's conquests. He must be deeply involved with this one. She came calling on him.
I just don't understand it. I never dreamed Manly had anything to do with anybody but Constant Hope.
Tell me, Ursula, have you thought over the matter that we discussed earlier? You're in dire need of a financial advisor, and I am the perfect man for the job.
I've decided to put everything into your hands. If you call on my attorney in the morning, he will deliver a document signed by me, which gives you the authority to handle all my investments.
Gadzooks, this old dame has walked right into the trap I've set for her. I will do my best to be worthy of the great honor you have bestowed upon me.
I'm sure you will. I have been so lucky to have you to lean upon. You have been a real friend.
Only a friend. My heart longs to be so much more to you, lovely lady.
Why, Bertram, I don't understand.
You are still a young woman, and a very beautiful one at that. Marry me, and I should devote my life to making you happy.
Why, Bertram, I would love to become your bride, but I must talk the matter over with my son first.
Forget about him. For your sake, I hope he's never apprehended for the murder that he's committed.
How can you say such a thing? My son is not a murderer.
Under ordinary circumstances, no. He was driven to the heinous crime by that conniving Constant Hope. He was so blinded by her love that he murdered his stepfather in order to gain her consent to marry him.
No, it cannot be. Not that, not that.
Why, conniving nurse even did her best to get me to pose for her. But I turned her down cold. I told her I was saving myself for you.
Then my Manly is lost to me forever. This is more than I can bear.
Constant, you heard?
Every word. From the very first I mistrusted you, and all my suspicions are verified. You're an unscrupulous cur who stuff and nothing to gain your following.
Gadzooks, the plot thickens. You wrong me, Constant. I did it for you.
You expect me to believe that?
It is true. Once I had control of the Greystone fortunes, we would flee and travel the world over, where I would devote my life to making you happy.
You can't. I can't find adequate words to describe my loathing of you.
My, how beautiful you are. I'm going to plant a kiss on your ruby red lips.
Let go of me, you villain. Give me a once or I'm going to scream.
Raise your hands up! Why give you the thrashing you deserve?
I thought I heard Manly's voice. Oh, Manly, is it really you?
Yes, Mama, it's really me. Despite these snakes' efforts to keep me away.
Curses! Foiled again. I don't know what you're talking about, Rash. I've never done anything to harm you.
Not much you haven't. This guy took a revolver in my back and took me to this abandoned shed. He had Tommy Sailor, one of his henchmen, to watch over me. They tied my wrists and ankles with heavy rope.
Oh, my poor boy, how did you ever manage to get away?
I managed to chew holes around the rope around my wrists, and the rest was easy. I overpowered Tiny Tom, and the rest was easy. He made a full confession to the police that it was all part of Oleander's plot to take over the Greystone fortune.
I don't have to listen to this. I have full intention of filing a libel suit against you, Rash.
Stay where you are. I'm all Richard.
What?
I only claim to be a customer of Mr. Rash so I could gain access to this house.
You mean you aren't Millie Smith?
I'm Millie Smith, all right, but I'm connected to law.
circumstantial evidence.
Listen, Boston Birdie, sailor has turned state's evidence. You know what that means, don't you?
Game's up for now. Next time I'll play my cards more carefully.
Egad, what a cat!
Let's go, Boston Birdie, but remember, my trigger fingers get mighty itchy.
I knew that Bertamo Leander was a criminal the moment I laid eyes on him.
Bailey, if you hadn't shown up when you did, I shudder to think what might have happened to me. You saved me from a fate worse than death.
Shucks, I didn't do that, Constant. The main thing is that black-hearted Oleander won't be bothering anybody ever again. It's curtains for him this time.
I'm sure the two of you would like to get married as soon as possible.